Hello there everybody, Sam's Trains here and welcome back to the railway and welcome back to a good old-fashioned Bachmann unboxing. I haven't done one of those for a little while, I don't think, certainly not a modern one, so yeah, today I'm going to be looking at the lovely Bachmann Jubilee Class, as you can see. And here's the box then. It's the modern packaging. It's not the brand new Jubilee Class that's just come out, but as you can tell by the packaging, it is fairly recent. So I'm just going to flip the box over actually so you can look at the back, because this has the brief history just here on the back of the box. And I've tried to get a decent close-up there, so you could probably pause that and read it if you'd like to. Otherwise, I'm going to get on with the review then. So first, I'll just show you the end of the box, because that has quite a bit of info about the loco on it. So first of all then, 31-189, that's the product code. Jubilee 45606, which is the running number, Falkland Islands, BR green, early emblem, weathered. So yeah, that basically gets it straight. Of course it is an LMS locomotive, although I have got it in the BR green, and also it's weathered, which is pretty nice. So yeah, I'm going to get this one out of its packaging then pretty quickly, and I'll take the block of ice out straight away as well. Let me just do that. And first I'll have a quick look at some of this paperwork with you. So let's have a look. This one first is the warranty and the Collectors Club thing that you can fill out if you wanted to. I haven't done that personally, but you could do if you wanted to. Oh, and there's also a bit of info about caring for the locomotive as well, which is quite interesting, because also we have a sheet entirely devoted to caring for your locomotive, running it in, fitting chips, replacement parts, all that sort of thing, and on the back the exploder diagram, which is useful, you know. But then on a separate piece of paper we've got almost the exact same thing actually, slightly differently printed, but it's got all the same info on it and the same but slightly different exploded diagram. So why I've got two in here, I don't know, but they have been printed separately because they're not quite the same. But yeah, very odd. Okay, it's probably one for each eye, I suppose. I'm just going to add in a little note here, because as you can see, this one of these sheets has no spaces in the text at all. So it kind of reads, this model has the space in the tender for the loudspeaker connect the... Yeah, you know what I mean, it's just a little bit difficult to read. So perhaps that's why they made a new one. But just as a joke, they must have left this one in. Look at this. I don't know. Anyway, on we go. Alright, let me get the loco unboxed for you then. Well, out of its packaging. I'll just take this sleeve off. And the first thing you notice, oops, a bit rough there. The first thing you notice is the detail pack, and there is a lot of detail in there actually. I can make out, well, I can see there's an alternative drawbar for the loco and tender. I can see the brake rods. I can see steps. There's windows, vacuum pipes, tender attachments, all sorts of stuff in there. So I suppose if you wanted to fit all that, you could end up with a very nicely detailed locomotive. And also on here, it looks like we've got a set of etched nameplates, which are the same as the ones on the locomotive. So yeah, I'm not sure why they don't fit these as standard. It's a bit strange, isn't it? Maybe they like to, I don't know, give you a fun job to do. But yeah, if you wanted to fit those, you could do. That's quite nice. But let's get to the loco then. That's the bit we're all interested in. So I'll just get the box open. Well, the block of ice open, and it's one that springs back, so I've got to try and anchor that down somehow. But yeah, let me lift this out. Of course the loco and tender are connected together permanently, so you've got to lift them together, and let me show you. There we go. First thing I must say though is the tender is really light. It's unusually light for Bachmann, and yeah, I don't really like that. I prefer a bit more weight. The loco though does seem to have a bit more weight, which is exactly what we want. And at first glance, I must say it looks like a very smart, very detailed locomotive. So yep, I'm going to get this up onto the white background for you and review it in a little more detail. But first of all, here's a little bit of info about the Jubilee Class and their history. So here we go. Introduced in 1933 to the design of William Stanier, the Jubilees were actually quite disappointing to begin with. They were effectively a combination of the Patriot class and the Black Five, and even shared some of the same parts with them. They were rushed into production though, due to high demand, and suffered from inadequate drafting and erratic behaviour on the lines. Eventually though, with some changes made, they were transformed into successful locomotives, and almost 200 were built, 191 to be exact. This example was built during the April of 1935, withdrawn in July 1964 and then scrapped a year later after almost 30 years of service. 4 have been preserved of the class, but sadly the rest were scrapped. So there she is then up against the white background. Very, very smart, I must say. So my only gripe with this, really, I'm going to get this off my chest straight away. Now, if this locomotive cost, I don't know, £80, for example, I would say it's a really good loco, great value for money. But the very cheapest I could find this one for was £110, and as I say, that's the very cheapest. I saw it going for £140, £150. Now, as annoying as it might be, I've had to kind of accept the fact that £140, £150 isn't that unusual anymore for a locomotive, and Hornby, Bachmann, whatever, are starting to do that now. And in my opinion, that's okay, but the loco has to be absolutely outstanding. And this one, sadly, isn't. It looks nice, it's not bad, nothing wrong with it, but it's not outstanding. They seem to have cut a few corners to make it look a bit like a cheaper model when really it isn't. It's very expensive. We've already noticed the light tender. Again, a very expensive model shouldn't have such a light tender. And again, it's got plastic reversing rod, as you can see there. Really, that should be metal. Inside the cab, it's quite nice. You know, you've got painted detail in there, but it isn't as exquisite as some that I've had in the past. And just looking at the locomotive, you know, the detail, in my opinion, seems good. It seems very acceptable for modern standards, but there's nothing on it that makes me think, wow, they actually, you know, they did that. It's fantastic. So yeah, you know what I mean? If it was £80, it would be fine. It would be perfect, in fact. But for an expensive model, it doesn't have the wow factor that you'd perhaps expect. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you agree. But yeah, let's have a look at this then. So the livery, first of all, of course, it's in the BR green or Brunswick green, which is slightly different on this, of course, because it's been weathered. But as you can see, it's got those lovely double orange stripes, which I must say are quite nicely applied, although there is a clear join along the sort of smoke box and the top of the boiler, which hasn't been disguised very nicely. So if you're looking at the loco from above, that is quite noticeable, unfortunately. However, the rest of the paintwork and the transfers seem to be pretty good. Like the side of the cab, for example, you've got that beautiful orange and black lining around the running number and the class. So 6P there by the BR and 45606, of course, the running number. And also the nameplates. These aren't the etched nameplates. These are the ones that come as standard on the model. Again, quite nicely applied. They certainly look very smart. And also the weathering seems to have crept onto that as well, which is very nice. The rest of the loco is very nicely lined, of course. You've got some going across the plate here, whatever that is, I always forget the name. And also on the valve chest too, where the pistons are inside. That has the orange lining too, which is pretty nice. Around the front, you've got a reasonably well detailed buffer beam. Again, the weathering makes it look fantastic. And the buffers too are sprung. Let me just demonstrate. Hang on. There we are. Nicely sprung buffers, as you'd expect, and that area also has the lamp irons and quite good detail around there, to be honest. Also, the smoke box door looks pretty good as well, nicely weathered with the handrails too, and also the painted running number on the front. I'm not sure, but I don't think the smoke box door opens. I will just investigate that. Hang on. Yeah, it does. It opens. It seems to have broken, but yeah, there's nothing inside there, so yeah, not much point in opening that up, I don't think. I'm going to shut that again. Yeah, sorry I didn't get much of a shot inside there, but one of the hinges was very loose and weak. So yeah, I won't do that again. The smoke box door opens, but there is literally nothing inside. Separately fitted parts then, as you'd expect. The handrail, which goes along the length of the thing, is separately fitted. We have got the reverser, but as I say, it is plastic, not metal, which is a bit of a shame for a high budget model. And you've also got this little pipe work, whatever it is, which goes underneath that handrail too. There's a few extra separately fitted parts, I suppose. You can see here there's some parts which aren't just moulded on, which is quite nice to see. And of course you've got the whistle and the safety valves there, which look quite nice, especially when weathered. And I believe this part here on top of the cab, where you've got the little air intake for the drivers and firemen, whatever, has a slight articulation. You can move it back and forwards, but it's really just a decoration. It doesn't move very easily, and I don't want to put too much force onto that. The linkage and valve gear looks very nice, very fine, and certainly quite realistic with the weathering. Although you have got this quite large screw here, which, you know, I don't know if that's particularly realistic. I'm not sure they were screwed on with huge screws in real life, but I could be wrong. I am no expert. The cab we've already touched on, but of course it does have the glazed window, as you can see there, and I believe the detail pack had yet another glazed window for the rest of the windows. But inside the cab you can see a fair bit of detail, but again, the gauges don't have any painting on them. We haven't got the wood effect on the floor. and there's not a huge amount of detail in there because it is a very exposed cab actually when it runs. You can see into the cab quite easily, which means a little more detail in there might have been beneficial. But yes, a very nice loco. Let's move on to the very light tender. Again, the paintwork is very nice with the BR early emblem on there, and I think the weathering really brings out this tender very nicely. The underframe detail is as good as you get with Bachmann, I would say. It's got the various rivets, springs, all that sort of thing. Everything you could ask for really. On top you've got some coal, which is a bit of a shock I suppose, and yeah, that one is very glossy as it is normally with Bachmann. I believe that is removable, but it's not terribly unrealistic, to be honest. It's pretty nice. Round the back you also have quite a bit of detail. There's some printed detail on there. Let's see if I can't see what that one says. You've got, looks like the date on the top there as well as the running number, and I believe that's the water capacity, 4,000 gallons underneath it. So very nice detail there. You have lamp irons on the back as well, and a very detailed buffer beam with sprung buffers too. The model is also fitted with NEM couplings on the back and the front. I didn't fit that one on the front, so yeah, obviously they decided to do that for you, and that's quite nice if you wanted to pull and push with the loco. So there we go anyway, quite a nice locomotive, certainly not badly detailed, but perhaps a little bit overpriced. Let's get on to performance then and see how she runs. So there she is then, 45606 Falkland Islands, sitting on the line looking absolutely beautiful, and I'm going to get her tested at slow speeds in just a second, but first I'll show you what she's going to be pulling. She's got a small rake of probably ex-LMS coaches, probably, I don't know, I think they're Mark 1s anyway, blood and custard, and since she's in the BR livery I thought that would be a nice thing for her to pull. Elsewhere on the line I've got other 460s. First one on the middle line, which is going to be running today. This one is the Bachmann Patriot, and that one's the Duke of Sutherland. And of course the Patriot is the Jubilee's sister, or cousin, whatever you like. They are very similar, so I had to run that. But on the very inner line, something totally different, a different kettle of fish. This one is the king of all 460s, and it's also the king class, so a little bit confusing. But yeah, I think this one's probably the most powerful 460 ever built. So I had to run her, and she's got a rake of Great Western coaches, as you can see, lots of those, and the Patriot actually has some LMS coaches as well because she's in an LMS livery. Anyway then, time to try the Jubilee Class. Now first things first, a little grumble. There are wires, as you can see, going from the loco to the tender, but the tender has no pickups. So why they didn't just bite the bullet and put pickups in the tender, I don't know. They certainly charged enough for the loco, so really in this day and age you would expect there to be pickups in the tender, but instead we've just got wires that carry the juice from the loco to the decoder or to the socket, and then from the socket or from the decoder back to the locomotive's motor. So very pointless there, and I think the performance would be improved a lot with tender pickups. Having said that, there isn't a problem with performance really. I think she's a very good runner, so let's try it. Let's see how she goes. I don't know which direction she's set to go in. Forwards it seems, and as you can see that slow speed performance is absolutely marvellous. Finally you get what you pay for. Look at that, totally silent as well. I can't hear it, so it's not just the camera's mic not doing it. I really can't hear it. All I can hear is the wind turbine on in the distance, and I think I managed to get that even slower going backwards, would you believe? Mightily impressed by that. It's really incredibly slow. I mean, I don't wish to bore you by running her so slowly, and I can see a bit of fluff here, but yeah, I mean, I can't imagine any modeler could ask for any better than that really. I did just service it, so it should be on its, you know, at the top of its game, but yeah, that is incredible. Let me get her coupled up to her coaches then. Let me send her back. Wonderful smooth performer. It's just a shame about the tender. There we go. So hopefully she's coupled properly to those. We won't know until we try, so here we go. Yep, she's got those and she looks very nice with them. Okay, let's get that Patriot class started up as well then. And I've just serviced the Patriot, especially for this video, so she should be running pretty well. Let's try that. Yeah, beautiful runner. And also, just to top things off, I've also serviced the King class. So let's try and do a nice gentle start, and I think there are 5 other 460 locomotives hiding on the layout today. So as always, your challenge, if you want to accept it, can you name them all? So yeah, get train spotting. Yeah, that Patriot is fantastic, isn't it? It's a beauty. I'm not sure what's the best, either the Patriot or the Jubilee. Let me know actually, I'll put a little poll up, you can decide for yourself. I don't know, I think I prefer the Jubilee actually. I suppose it was newer, wasn't it? But yeah, very lovely. Fantastic runner. It really is a very, very good runner. Oh, there's the King and the Patriot together. What a great sight that is. Wow. It's a superb runner though. The Jubilee, I can't say enough. What a good runner it is. I mean, it just slithers along. I mean, it really is quite unnaturally quiet, in fact. It's very, very good indeed. There's the King. I think the Patriot's still close by. Close to the King. King has a slightly shorter loop, so yep, the Patriot's getting left behind just a little bit now. But there she is anyway. And I think I like those coaches with the Falkland Islands. The Jubilee, of course, looks fab with those coaches. So now for my ratings then on the Bachmann Jubilee. First of all, the detail. It is pretty good. It's nothing particularly special, but pretty good. So 8 out of 10. Performance, fantastic slow speed performance. She really does well at slow speeds. The tender could do with a little bit more weight in it because the Loco has good weight. And I think it would probably be a perfect score for performance if that tender weighed a bit more. But anyway, character 9 out of 10. I think the Jubilees have a lovely character. I think they're beautiful things, and Bachmann have captured it perfectly. Build quality 9 out of 10. It's a very sturdy model. I've taken this one apart to service it and not broken anything on it. It seems to be built with high quality materials, and it's exactly what you want. So high marks for build quality. Value, again, I paid £110, but that's about the minimum you can pay for one of these brand new. So 6 out of 10, not too good there. Overall then, 8 out of 10, a very good model. I really do love it. It's a little bit pricey, well, it's extremely pricey, but once you've got it, it is very nice, and it does what it says on the tin. Alright then everybody, well that should just about do it for today's review of the Bachmann Jubilee Class. I do hope you've enjoyed it, and if you did enjoy the review of course, please feel free to leave it a like or even a comment, because I do love it when you get in touch, and I'm always glad to hear from you. And also, if you'd like to have your pictures put up on the walls in this railway room, you can email them to samstrains@outlook.com, and I'll print them off and put them up for you. But for now, that should just about do it, so thank you very much for watching once again. I do hope you enjoyed it. Please feel free to check out the Facebook or the Twitter pages, which are at facebook.com/samstrains or twitter.com/samstrains. It would be lovely to see you on there, but for now, that's it. Thank you very much once again for the 30th time this time, and see you very soon. Cheers everybody.